Temple and head coach Rod Carey. The Owls are 2-0. They were in action this past Saturday against Maryland. Temple won the game 20-17. Owls are back in the field Saturday. They'll be on the road against Buffalo for a 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time start on ESPNU. Coach, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Just give us your thoughts on the game against Maryland and what you expect to see as you take to the road to face Buffalo on Saturday.
Yeah, hey, Chuck. Afternoon to you, too. It was obviously, feels like a lifetime ago already because we're well on to Buffalo, but it was a great win. Thought our guys really executed through a lot of adversity in that game. Multiple points of the game that were critical parts, and our execution came through in the end from defense and then even the offense going on that go-ahead drive, and then the way we executed the end game scenario. So obviously a lot of things to clean up, kicking game, offense, and defense too, even though we played dynamic on defense. Just there's still things to clean up, and so we're well on to that, made those corrections, and now we're on to Buffalo team, which, I know everyone's going to make a big deal that they lost their quarterback and, their wideout and their tight end that we just played, who's on Maryland's team right now, but they've reloaded. They're a good football team. There's no question. And they're strong. They're physical. It's a good football team. So we know we got our hands full and be our first time on the road too. So we have to deal with that and make sure we're buttoned up and ready to go on that. So, that's where we're at, Chuck.
Thanks, Coach. We'll open to questions for Coach Rod Carey, please. Star 1 on your telephone keypad to join the queue. The operator will introduce you.
We have a question from John DeCarlo with owlscoop.com.
Hey, Rod. How are you?
Good, John. How are you?
Good. I know you think you might have a chance to evaluate them this week. I just don't know if there were any updates on Linwood Crump and Randall Jones.
Yeah, Linwood's going to be a couple weeks. Randall is day-to-day. He's responding really quickly, so I'm hopeful that he can get out there and do something tomorrow, but if not, Wednesday. And it's truly day-to-day with him.
With Randall, what's his injury? I know with Linwood it's a hand. What's Randall's situation?
I don't know. They got some fancy term for it, John. It's a leg.
Gotcha.
It's a muscle, and I don't know. They got a fancy word for the muscle. I don't know if it's the hamstring because they confused the hell out of me when they told me.
Gotcha. One last question. Special teams, obviously, you had your struggles with it Saturday. What's correctable versus? I mean, obviously, if a punter or a kicker hits a kick, I guess that is what it is. But what can you clean up schematically? What needs to be done there to turn things around?
Well, it's schematically, and it's also situational football, right? He's got a lot that we can correct. We can correct everything. We can't correct whether the ball's a spiral or not, but we can correct, his tempo, his pace, his understanding of the situational football, and does he have to one step and get it off, or can he, kick it normally? All those things that he certainly can do, and then the snapper too with Lurch. Those are all correctable things. The missed tackle, is a correctable thing. We got to take one more step through that. So it's all correctable, and we got work on it this morning already. And I like where the guys are at with it. They understand that you got to have thick skin on this one because we're all accountable on this, coaches too, and from me everywhere down to the backups. That we got to get it corrected and we got to do it together.
Gotcha. Thanks, Rod. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Next, we'll hear from Ronnie Woodward with the Greenville Daily Reflector.
Hey, Coach, I'm just wondering, Scotty Montgomery, former ECU head coach, was the offensive coordinator at Maryland. Did any of your players or anybody on staff, I know this is your first there, but anybody in Temple pick up on that? Was there any similarities at all, or was there a correlation, or no?
Well, I don't know. I didn't study what he did at ECU for the game. We spent a lot of time, obviously, studying Coach Loxley and what he had done at Alabama, and I think more similarities there. There could be similarities from what he did at ECU. We did not look at that.
Okay, I was just curious. Thanks, Coach.
You bet.
Next, we'll hear from Dan Tortora with WakeUpCallDT.com.
Good afternoon, Coach. How are you?
Good afternoon. Good. How are you?
Doing well. Just coming off of, obviously a 2-0 start for, your first time out there for Temple. Just what you can say about, what you've gotten from this team in these first couple weeks, and obviously, for your tenure there, a good way to get things going before you head off on the road. Just what your takeaways have been.
Well, I mean, if you draw it up, you're going to draw it up this way, right? Go 2-0
right.
and do that. So I've said this, and I'll keep saying this. This team knows how to work, and they went to work on Saturday. And it certainly was not perfect, and we are not perfect, and we need to do better and execute better and get those things. But the work ethic is there, and when you got that, you got a shot. So I love that we've had that in the first two games, and now we're on to the third and another challenge of going on the road.
And gutting it out this past week against Maryland, and this is obviously a team that was coming off of a very strong performance against Syracuse inside of the ACC. Just what you can say about, what these guys did. I know you just talked about being proud of them, but being able to get a close victory 20-17 against a team that was flying high and obviously had a lot of offensive positives coming into the game.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing, we tried not to pay attention to any of that, really. We tried to believe what we saw on the film, and that's what the entire team did. And certainly had great respect for them, and they were scoring at a rapid rate, and their defense was not giving up a whole lot. But we just decided, and the group decided, we're just going to believe what's on that film, keep studying the film, and understanding what we have to do to execute. And they did. So, and you can learn a lot then going through a tight game that we did with all the different scenarios that were in that game. You can learn a lot from that win that hopefully will pay dividends going forward.
Well, thank you, Coach, and good luck moving forward.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it.
Our next question comes from Sean Pastor with Owls Daily.
Hey, Rod. So I had one follow-up on Saturday, which about the 2-point play. I wonder, philosophically, is there a time that's too early to go for the 2? What your take is on it?
Yeah. What was your question?
Mid-third quarter, some people might say, hey, that was a little bit early for him to be going for the 2 there. You were kind of on a number that was in between. So I was just wondering sort of broadly your philosophy on, when you go for the 2 or when it's too early.
Yeah, I don't know. I go back and forth on it, to be honest with you. The book says do exactly what we did. All the analytics that we have says to do exactly what we did at that time in the game as well. We have those advanced analytics. But I've always been the guy that don't pay attention to that until the fourth quarter when it's time for go for 2, and I went for 2 there. I don't know. Go back and forth. I don't have a real good answer for you. I don't. You may have a different opinion, or other people may have other opinions. It's just what I did that time.
Okay. And then about Buffalo, just how good is their offensive line? I mean, it looks like they've run on Penn State. They run on everybody now.
They're good up front on both sides, defense and offense. They are well coached and big and physical, and it's the first thing that jumps off the page to you is their O&D line, and that's where every football team starts. So, and when it jumps off the page to you, it gets your attention quick.
Okay, thanks.
Do you have any final questions for Coach Carey, please? Star 1 on your telephone keypad, if so. Coach, appreciate you giving us a few minutes today. We look forward to hearing from you once again next Monday.